Alright, just editing the thumbnail and some descriptions really quickly. Mic's good, game audio good, music good. Be 1 second. Alright, let me get this description in. Okay. Okay. Chronicle Circle, how you doing, brother? How's things going? Tweakies, what up? Hey, boys. Just getting settled here, getting situated, and we'll get to editing some of these clips, eh? So, with this video, I'm going to try and leave it up as an actual video tutorial, so if you're just checking in, or if you're coming to the video after this is recorded live, basically we're going to be editing clips that I've hit on the live streams for the last few weeks, and just showing how I use the Rockstar Editor, angles, timing, things like that, to make nice, clean, you know, easy to look at clips. I'm going to try and make this a shorter video than usual so it can stay up as a tutorial, and from there you can use some of those tips hopefully to help your own videos or whatnot. So I'll be 1 second and then we'll be getting into it. Alright, so all my levels good, music's good, mic's good, yeah, we're all good. Just checking before we start. Alright, cool bananas. Okay, let's get into it. So obviously everybody knows about the Rockstar Editor, which you access from story mode. And these clips are put here by saving them when you turn on your instant replay when you're in game doing stuff. So obviously that's the basics. So everybody should know that. And this is where your clips end up. And then now we're going to have a look at each one that we've done in regards to the streams. And then I'll save them. And then at a later, after the video, I'll be editing them together to make it into an actual stream clips video. So straight away, create new project. Are you sure you want to start a new project? Yes. Okay, so add clips. I just go into clips by date, and this is in here everything you've saved, and you're working with everything on a one-on-one basis basically from the start. So we'll go to what do we got here? This one here, April 27th. This is the first one we hit on stream here, May the 5th. So 14 days ago, not too bad. Take me that long to make a video anyway, so. Right, so you select your clip and then you hit in. Do you want to edit? Yes. Obviously, if at any point my console blue screens, it's been blue screening in Editor for some reason lately. I think maybe the console's getting a little old, but basically just going to be going over, you know, some basic stuff about using the editor. I should have done this years ago, but better late than never. So you're basically just editing them here one by one and then stitching them together at a later date for a video. So. Alright, so this is when you save your clip, usually is about 1.5 minutes back of whenever you decide to save it. So obviously you hit something, you save it. It's usually about 1.5 minutes. This was the first we were trying on stream, which is a little hop up this ramp, up this wall I guess you'd call it, up the fence, and then landing on top of that green sign there. I think we spent about half an hour here on the first time. So obviously you want to use the right analog stick. I'm assuming this is the same on Xbox One. For PC, obviously you're going to have your own keybinds, buttons and whatnot. But on PS4, right stick while holding L1 lets you scrub through it. And you basically want to just trim away everything you don't need until you find the point where your clip is. So often with BMX it's important to get good run up on your clips, both in and after the clip, so when you're editing at a later date you can be trimming up more and more what you need. It gives you that wiggle room in case you need to like squeeze it into a spot or you need to stretch it out a bit longer. So I always start my clips basically at the approach, and then when I do final editing I obviously cut some of it off if needed. So we'll start from here. Generally you want to be avoiding game camera because the whole point of the Rockstar Editor is to use your own camera angles and your own unique things. So you want to go into cameras, free camera, edit camera, and this lets you move around. R1, L1, RB, LB I'm assuming is up and down, and the sticks just move you around. Now an important thing to remember with camera angles on the BMX is, see at the very top center there, 0.9 zoom, that's 90% zoom of the regular clip, so you've got that sort of wider field of view. If you use L2 it'll pull it out, or R2 and it will pull it in. I always like to have mine in a bit more. I'm not a big fan of the wide field of view, but it does have its applications as well, so I usually just pull it into like sort of maybe here. And so I'll be looking to place my first camera angle, which will be, I think here's good. So once you've placed it, you're back to this timeline here. R2 will play the video, and then X will stop it where you want to add your next camera angle. So you're adding this little split in here on the timeline, as you can see. So now obviously you're doing the same thing again, you're placing another camera. Camera select. There is all type of cameras, obviously I should go through these. Free camera, preset front, rear, right and left. There's also above the game camera, which you want to be avoiding unless you're purposely going for just a game camera look, and then the free cam. So we're now placing the second camera. We've got the zoom up the top there at 1.16, which is about where I always have it. Now obviously I can't teach people like perspective and where to place your cameras, but you want to make it so it's clear and sort of you can really tell what's going on. You don't want a camera over here with things say blocked, or you don't want it too low, which does look cool but you don't really get the vibe. You obviously don't want it too high. You want it in a place which captures what's going on but also gets a good look of the surroundings without being too obtrusive. So if I'm also side thing, if I'm not saying hi guys, I do appreciate everyone stopping in, but I'm just going to try and do less of the chatting and more of like describing what we're doing, and that way it can end up being its own video at the end. But so back to the cameras, you want to sort of have it where you're capturing what you're doing but also where you're going. So this is where we're landing, which is on top of this green thingy majing here. So down here at ground level is good, because when you're on ground level it always brings a bit more realism in, you know, like, so your game's sort of higher, a bit more arcadey, but when you're on the ground level it really brings it in. And also you want to be factoring in what's happening with your backgrounds as well. So we've got this amazing sunset here which we'll be using at the end, and but this is just for the second camera angle. So a common thing that people can do is you can just place a camera angle. So you can just place this here, my guy will ride through the scene and then exit on the right. But most of the time you want to be looking, so you want the camera to be following your guy. So cameras look at target player, so you can have it on none, obviously it stays static, and then you look at target player, and this is important as well. So you can look through it there, and that gives you a nice sort of spread where, so you've got your first camera angle, and this is all just, you're just scrubbing through with the right stick. So you're just looking through. It's giving a nice perspective of what we're ramping up on, the height, where we're at, what we're landing on. It's all included. So this is a nice little angle here. And then it's got us finally landing up on top of the green sign. So the moment that you're up there, maybe about here, that's where I'm going to put my last camera angle in. What's up, Momet? And now we're going to remove the look at player, and we're going for a more scenic overview shot of, you know, the end part of the clip, which is you've landed it and now you're transitioning out of the clip into the next clip you've got. So what we do have here is this amazing sunset, and we can, what would be a good angle here? So pulling it in tight to your character could be good. See, this is even nicer over here. See, you don't want to go too low, so we've got that we've got that texture issue here where it looks like my guy's sitting floating. So you always want to try and keep that away from these things. So maybe just try to find an angle here. I think here's pretty nice. We've got my guy on the right. We've got the nice focal point of the city on the left. Might zoom it in just a little bit. And then that's placed there now. So what we've got now, actually we might just move it to the right a little bit. And this is more of an advanced technique, which you can move into afterwards, but I will discuss it here. So you've got your camera here, but we want the camera to sort of pan along in a way that sort of finishes up looking at the city. So it finishes up sort of like this. And how you do that is, so we have our guy, we're sitting here, camera. So this is the first point on the timeline. You can see the timeline here. We want to just say maybe give it a few seconds, maybe 3 seconds. And then we want to, so from where the guy, from where we've landed and where we want to be, maybe like a couple of seconds. You then edit the camera to where you want it to be finished, so where it's finished moving. So we want it about here and zoomed in with a little bit with the right trigger as well. So now, if we go back, we've got the small little gaps here between where we finished and where we want it to be. And now you pick here blend mode. A blend mode here, you can, it's always on none, which is just a hard cut to the next camera, but you can blend the cameras together, and you can do that by selecting linear, smooth, or none. I like to use smooth. Now what that's going to do, when you select smooth and play, it's going to slowly look at that. So that's far too fast. See how it like really shot away, and it's a clunky look. It doesn't look nice. So what you want to do is stretch out the final camera. So we've just doubled it. So now it takes twice as long to get to that point, if you know what I mean. Now you can slow that down even further, but then you don't get the movement you want. So what you can do additionally in the transition is take the speed from 100 and chuck it down to like 50. So now we're at the final part, we press play, and we get a nice panning look over the city with a slight bit of zoom in as well. Now that there is like a really nice way to finish your clips, because you're adding a whole nother dimension to not just what's happened, but you're also adding some atmosphere. So what we'll do is we'll bring up the timeline and go back to the start by pressing L2, or sorry, L1, LB, and now we'll click in the right stick, which removes the HUD, and now pressing R2 will play the clip from the start to the finish, which gives you a really good idea of how it looks the whole way through. So now we'll play it. Coming across the freeway, the camera's tracking him up the ramp, up the wall, perfect landing on top. And then we've got a nice panning slow camera emphasizing the city at the end. And that's a really nice way to edit that little street clip, and gives you some nice color for your edits at the end as well. So what we'll do with that to me is done at the moment. Now remember, on top of all these clips you can add effects. Now if you're not using external editing, you can use the in-game effects on the Rockstar Editor, which is these filters here. Now, all of these filters are great. They've got their own look. Albuquerque, Gonzo is very... I've never bothered with Gonzo. Cathode, Touch of Evil, very black and white. Normandy was nice. I quite like using Normandy. Emulsion. Inferno, which is the very classic old gen look. Purple Haze, Sentinel, Kabukicho, I guess. Glacial, which is one of my favorites. Night Moves is another classic. Nueva Esperanza, Hey Girl, Nostalgia. That's really nice. Nostalgia is really nice. Hey everyone who's watching too, by the way. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just trying to be concise with what I'm explaining. Graveyard Shift, Tel Aviv, Headroom, High Country, and Thermopylae. IL7's like that CCTV shit, don't really fuck with that. Same with Game Over, man. Divinity's too bright. Chopper's the dog's sort of filter. Killer Clowns is almost an inverted. Also, you probably want to avoid that one. And then black. So, all these filters are great. They're all great, but they're all very strong. They're all very intense. So, if you weren't using external editing, you can apply these filters to your edits to make them... You're basically taking a lot of the work out of it yourself for when you edit it together later on, whether you're just doing it in a simple program or an advanced program. Whereas I like to use my own color correction. Now with my vids, I did use all of these a lot. So what we'll do, I'll just zoom through and we'll put on, say, Thermopylae is probably one of my favorites, but it's too strong at 100. You want to knock it back to about 60. Saturation, you can sort of head to maybe 5. It's very strong. Contrast, I would probably put a 5 as well. But this is also if you're not looking to edit after the fact. So this is just sort of helping yourself. Brightness is not a real issue with this game. If you do go into negative brightness, it makes it very dark very quickly. So maybe just a 1 or a 2. Vignette, you don't even worry about that. That's just adding the shadows to the sides and creating that focal point, which is not really, there's not a lot to do with that with BMX unless you're going for a specific look. So what we'll do is we'll add Thermopylae 6552 on each. So we'll just go to the next cut. Same thing. Into Thermopylae. Back, use your left stick to scrub through it fast. 60%. 5 saturation, 5 contrast, 2 brightness. And then we'll do the same thing on the next. So I'll just quickly throw these through here. Bring it down to 60, saturation 5, 2, 5, and then 2. And then same for the end clip. So we'll head over to Thermopylae again. It's very strong at 60. Saturation 5, 5, 2. So now your effect is applied across your whole clip. Okay? Same thing, press right. You can press L2, you go back to the start, so you've got that much nicer look now, and that's applied across the whole clip. So we'll look at this again. It is a little blurry for me. It's too blurry for me, and you can see how we've got that nice focal point of my character here if we go back, but then the city itself is very blurred out, which is actually quite a nice look. That's actually, I don't know if I agreed with that, but it's not actually that bad. But what you can do, so what we'll do here, we'll go back to depth of field. This is another subsection, depth of field. It's on 50, which is fine for most of the filters, but for Thermopylae, it's very strong. So you can just leave it as default, but you can knock it back to say 20. You press R1 to go to the next little transition. We'll knock it back to 20. You see what's going on here. You're following what I'm doing. We're just applying it over the whole clip so it's consistent all the way through. 20. See how that looks now. Let's see how this looks now. Still quite blurry. A lot of it's the depth. We could maybe, for this the last section here, we could maybe change the blur. You see how it's going from default, which is blurring the background of the city. Or you can change it to custom, which means you're applying where the depth of field is. Currently on default, it's focused on my guy, but the blur is in the distance. You can switch that around with custom, and you can go over to custom, go to manual, target, and you go manual, and what we can do is we can push we can push my focus distance out, which makes my character blurrier. So we'll say we'll just go to 120 meters. So what that will do here is it makes my character blurrier, but there's more focus in the distance. So that's a nice way to apply that. And then see how we've gone to the next transition here. It's reverted that back. So what we have to do is apply the same blur on the next transition. Otherwise you'll end up with mismatching shit. So we'll go over here. We'll go to custom, 20% manual, and we'll push it out to 120 meters or whatever I said. You don't have to be absolutely precise with that. But, you know, just try and keep it all similar across the page. So when you do have your clip, it looks nice from the start to the end. So what we'll do is we'll now look back. We've got the nice blur in the distance here. Focus on the character, blur in the distance. Landing the clip. A little bit blurry on my guy. And a nice clean, crisp exit onto the clip. So that's one done. That's one in the bag. And that's exactly how I would edit that, and that's how we'll edit it for the video as well. So also, just so you don't get a very long ending to the clip here, see there's multiple seconds here, there's probably 20 seconds, you can go to your the end of the clip, grab L1 or LB on the end, and you can scrub it back. So you're scrubbing the clip all the way back, and then you've got a reasonable distance instead of having a clip, excuse me, that's a minute and a half long on the end. Now that there is quite reasonable. That's quite a reasonable way to do that first green box clip. So what we'll do is I'll save that. Save yes. So that's saving now. We'll go back. And now we'll move on to the next one. How much money do I have in real life or in the game? In the game I think I've got like $8 million. Anyway, so that's the first one in the bag. That's done now, and now we'll move on to the next one. So we'll add the next clip, which was this little grind on the down at the beach. So what we're doing here is we're stitching. How I do this usually is when I'm recording by myself, and if I'm not streaming, this isn't how I would do it. But what we're doing for the sake of the video is we're putting it all together into one big project, and then I'll record it at the end after the stream. But usually I would just do one, have my Elgato going, and then record over the top of it, export the clip, put it in a folder for editing later on. But what we'll do for this is we're putting all the clips together into one long clip, which is kind of like a video, basically. You just subbed, thank you very much, bud. We're just explaining a tutorial here about the Rockstar Editor and how I edit my BMX clips. These are all clips that we've landed on the stream. I'm thinking about doing a little explanation once I do the edit for it, making sure people to tell people to come by and check out what we're up to, because I think we're doing some good shit out here. So we're on to clip number 2, which is not an incredible clip, but it's not a very incredible clip, but it's still okay. And I will definitely put it in the video because it's something that we did together on the stream. So what we're doing here, we're just scrubbing through like with the so you got your finger on L1 or LB, and on the right stick we're just scrubbing through and just finding where our clip is in the actual save file. So it should be here. Okay, so we found the clip, and like we said before, start nice big run up when you're placing your first camera. So we've got, as we look into the first camera, remember that in the top right here we've got the zoom. I'm going to put my zoom, I always have it just up over 1. I don't like the zoom out look. We do have a nice sunset, which is kind of cool. We've got this guy here, he's texting. So this could be a nice way to open it up. It's kind of like a different focal point. And also, what I forgot to mention on the first clip, when you are placing your cameras, you can use left and right on the D-pad, as you can see on the bottom there, the roll, and you can add some slight roll to your camera. You know, and a lot of the times the flat camera is fine, but it gets a bit boring sometimes. So, but occasionally you can throw in a bit of angle. So what this is, we've got this guy here, which is a strange sort of focal point, but it's a cool way to open up the clip. We're going to go back to camera type, look at target. So we've got it targeted at my guy. We might just zoom this out just a little bit here. So we've got, on the left of the camera, we've got the whole guy in the picture. And this will be the opening of the next clip where the camera follows me in and follows me towards the stair set. So about there. So there's always parts to a clip, which is important. You've got your run up, when you're actually doing the clip, landing it, and then directly afterwards when you've landed it. So there's generally, there can be more parts to a clip depending on its complexity, but there's generally 3 parts: the run up, the clip itself, and then the landing and the fadeaway. So this is the first part, which would be the run up. And you want that of the entire thing, or you could add 2 cameras here, you know, one here and one on the other side, but you're just complicating it. So basically this is the first part, which is the run up, right to the point where we're about to bunny hop. So now we place new camera. Remember to turn off the look at target, otherwise if you don't turn it off, if you don't turn off the look at target from the previous camera and you go to edit, it will only let you edit around looking at your guy, which is a pain in the ass. So you learn that pretty quickly, but you just turn that off back to none. We're now editing the clip itself, and remember perspective of showing the whole clip is important, and you can really get nice sort of nice the height. You see this, I'm just looking at the height of this. I think we might have to do this in 2 parts. So the first part of this, we might put a bit of roll on it as well, maybe the other way. The first part of this can be me going up, grinding on here, what I forgot to mention as well, which I'll cover now, is your speed. So occasionally you can slow down a piece of a clip. So I'm going to choose where to start to slow down. So I want to slow down this first bit where I'm grinding up the steps. So what we'll do here is place where you want it to slow down, back into the menu, down to speed. We'll just chuck a 50 on here for the duration of the grind, and then back to 100. So we'll see how this looks. This might look bad, it might not. That's a nice slow grind on there, and then the bounce out. So if you're going to split a camera, if you have to move again during the middle of the clip while it's happening, which happens if you have a lot of distance to cover, because the cameras are very bound by the parameters of the console editing. So halfway through this clip, through the air, we're going to move the camera. So we're going to move here, free player, free camera, turn the camera look at target off, and now we're going to move it over to this side. Remember, you don't want your cameras on too many sides at once. So if it's like left, you want to go to the right and then back to the left. Keeps it the variable, rather than say left, left, left all the way up. So this gives you a nice look about the whole thing. So now we've moved the camera over to this side for the last sort of half of this clip. We get the nice sunset. So we could even probably, so this is nice, like real down on a low level here. You want to be centering your crosshairs if you want on your guy. Put it back to look at target. We're going to place it here, and then hit the handlebar grind, the small rollout. So that there on itself is a nice way to exit that clip. So that's, even though we had to add an extra camera, it sort of counted itself, because adding the extra camera gave us the runaway as well, like the drive away, the right away. If you were really keen, you could add another camera there, so you got a bit more runoff. But at the moment, we'll look at this from here, just see how it looks. So we've got the first perspective of the beach, changing the clip, slow motion on the grind, up to the top with the small rollout. Then it ends. So what we'll do is we'll save that as it is. We won't put any effects on that. Save yes. So now we've got both of our clips on the same timeline, first and second. We'll now move into the third clip. Anyway, is the music too loud, by the way? I hope it's not too loud. Let me know if it's not. Now we're going to add the third clip in. We're not going to edit. Remember to move your timeline with the left and right D-pad. So you move it to the end, and now we're going to add a new one. So we'll go back, add, find the third clip along. I'm not sure what this is. 4 seconds, 60 seconds. That's probably nothing. So sometimes you can end up with junk in here as well. Just disregard it. We'll move on to the next one. I don't know what this one is. What is this one? Hold on. This may also be junk. What have I done here? I've done the wrong thing here. Hold on. I'm going to delete that. Right, that's where we need it to be. Right, so add clip. I'm just going to preview what this is. I think this might just be a... Sometimes you can accidentally save and it becomes a pain in the ass, but you'll find out quick enough anyway. 777, how you doing, man? Hope everyone's doing good. I'm just running through this quick tutorial here. And then hopefully tonight, if I get motivated enough, or it doesn't get too late, I can edit the video tonight. No, I think this is not much of a muchness here. We'll have a quick look. No, this is just me biking around on stream. So what we'll do is we'll back out of there, don't save, we'll delete that one off there, and I'll deal with it later on. Moving to the next one, which was the tire tap on the chimney here. We're placing it on the timeline, and now we're going to edit it again. Edit the third clip. If this video gets a bit, if it gets a bit off topic, or if I'm sort of trying to, stuttering along, it's because I'm doing it all totally off the cuff, so I hope you can appreciate that. So we're into the third clip, which was a roof tire tap at the opening of another stream last week. Very simple sort of stuff, but still kind of cool, and it's like the vibe that I fuck with. So, alright, so this is the beginning of the clip here. Because we've done two trailing sort of cameras where we're watching my guy come in right in the previous two clips, we might change it on this one, and we could go free camera edit, zoom in a little bit, and then we might bring it in to on top of the bike. Now this is how you can do first person clips without it being in first person, if you know what I mean. So you can zoom it out a little bit here, might chuck that on there like that, and we want no shake, move with target. Now so this is different to looking at the target, this is move with target. So you set it to player, we should be able to run through here. But what you don't want when you're doing these zoomed in clips is you don't want, as you can see here when I run through, you see how my guy's legs are clipping through the camera? You don't want that. So it's important to get it to a nice place where the guy's legs aren't clipping through, and then go with it. So there's a little bit there as well. I mean, it's nicer, but we'll just move it forward a little bit more here, and that'll hopefully stop the legs coming through. It still is, yeah. Often when you're very close, you have to zoom them way out. So we'll go in a bit closer here. We've zoomed it right out, and that should prevent the legs going through. So that's a nice little run in. We'll go to the second camera. We'll turn off move with target, so it's back to none. And then just back to editing your second camera. I think this looks quite good here. Maybe coming... See, when there's not much distance to... When your guy doesn't have very far to go, you can have that look at target off, and your man will just ride through the camera, which is also another style and works perfectly well. So we'll leave that as that one. We'll now move the camera to the third position for the last clip, which is me bouncing off the hedge and tapping on here. And we've got this nice background of the city here as well. So let's see how this looks. Set it to look at target. Coming in, bouncing off with the nice sort of chimney tire tap here. I'm not quite happy with that because I think it's zoomed in too far. So what we'll do is I'll zoom it back out a little bit. Maybe just give it a bit of a move. So you can still have it looking at the target even if it's out of sight. So we're popping up and we're getting a better look at the tire tap, which is frozen here perfectly. And then the turn, and then the jump off. So what we'll do, we're going to add a little bit of slow-mo on that as well. And this time we might chuck it right back to, say, 20 for the nice little half turn there. Maybe about there where it starts to move off. Sometimes you get this problem with these nighttime clips as well, as you can see. See how the background is going from purple to that almost that yellowy color, which is a problem that you sort of have to address, otherwise you end up with these different colors through your backgrounds. But it seems to be okay at the moment. We've got the speed there. So at this point, it's landing, slowing down, stop there. Right as we hop, we're going to stop the camera, and then we're going to move to the final camera. So we'll take off, look at target, back to edit camera. And this is for the final run out, or run off as I like to call it, of the clip. Zoom it in a bit. Put a bit of roll on the camera as well. And then back to look at target. I remember, which I forgot, to set your speed back to 100. Off the roof, following the target, and it rides off. Same thing with the end. Go to the end, bring it all the way back in so you don't have a huge long clip. And we'll scrub it in. So we can look at this from the start now. With the first person camera. Through the yard. Bouncing off the hedge. Tire tap on the roof. And the camera follow out. The distance limit is done, I think, literally just to do with the camera and then the specifications of the console. So I'm not quite happy with this one. So I'm going to redo the last parts. I'm going to delete by pressing triangle. We're going to delete that camera. I'm going to look back at changing this one because it's not showing the bounce off the hedge. So what we might do is head back to the previous camera, which was deleting this one, and this we might have to set this one as look at target. And that way we get a little bit more extra time, and it frees up that space for the last camera here when we move it back over, which will give me the luxury, I guess is the word, of showing the bounce off that hedge. We still get the nice perspective. Now, you could just use one camera all the way through here like we're showing, which is actually quite nice. But what actually could be quite cool is up to here, find the spot where we were before where I wanted to slow it down. Here, and then we'll go, say, 20, just for a sec, and then back to 100. And then right at that point where it jumps off the roof, that might be a better camera to use. So we move to the final camera here. Zoom in a little, look at target, and now that could be a nicer way to finish that. And then I turn around and ride off down there, which is actually a better way to do it. So sometimes you have to go over them and look at the cameras again and you know, redo your angles until you're happy. Well, I do, because I'm pedantic and I obsess over it until I have it perfect. But this is the third clip. Running through the fence, bounce off the hedge nice and clear, slow motion tire tap on the roof, on the chimney, off the roof, and then back around. I'm not sure how I feel about the speed on the roof with the tire tap. I almost think it's maybe we could, instead of going 20, maybe to 50. Let's see how 50 looks. Yeah, see, 50 looks much nicer. It's still recognizing that, you're still emphasizing that there's a tap there, but it's not as slow. So playing that through at 50 is changing from 35% speed to 50. I think that's much more. It's much better for the clip visually. And there we go. That's the third one in the bag. Do you want to save? Yes. We've now got 3 clips in. Right, moving on to the fourth. I'm just going to have some water here real quick. All this talking's drying me out. Right, moving on to the fourth clip, which I'm not sure what this one is, but we'll have a quick look at what this one is. This might be another accidental save or a junk one. Let's see what this one is. Holding L1. Oh, this was the little fence gap that we didn't know how we were going to use. That's right. Which was, if you weren't here for the stream, this is what we were trying here. We were just trying to jump through this little small gap in these fences here, but it kept bailing the shit out of me. So we'll keep going through here. I'm not sure if I'll even use this in the final edit of the video, but it's kind of like a cool little perspective thing, I guess. I mean, as cool as that is, there's better ways to, there'd be better ways to utilize that clip. So we might just leave that one out at the moment. So triangle to delete off the timeline. Back to the picking. And this is the precision. We spent a lot of time on this precision early last week. So now we can edit this one. Finally, I'm really glad I nailed this bastard. I've been trying this obviously for so long. Really glad we landed this one. So this is the sign or billboard precision. We revisited once or twice on a couple of streams off the ghetto roof, and then landing on top of that little sign there. So we'll just find where the clip is, holding L1 and right stick. Should be this one. We hung that bastard up there, just like that. Okay, so now we'll go back to where the start is. Here looks good. First camera, free cam, edit camera. I think just a sort of a simple run in here will be nice for that. Maybe about to there. Second camera, edit the approach off this little ghetto roof here. So I might plant this camera about here. Select look at target, player, R2 to play, bouncing off the roof, off the back ledge. Not sure how I feel about it. Now this is another clip where in the air we're going to move the camera. So edit, and then we'll move over this side for some nice perspective. Lower it right down to the ground so you get the real height. A little bit of zoom. I believe we did the same camera angle on stream when I was looking at it. So it's a little high. See how my guy goes up almost out of the screen. So you want to always be aware of your borders, and you don't want to be having your character go out of screen or below, or off the edge at all. So always set your cameras just so you've got enough play there. So that's too high, whereas on an edit, with your black bars that everyone, or I add to all my videos, my guy would be clipping out of that. So you want to avoid that and just bring the camera back a little bit. Even that's probably too much, just a little bit more. About here, and I might put some tilt on it, because the tilt gives it extra swag points, everyone knows that. And then we'll just play. And that's the landing on it there. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe back just a little bit more. I might just look at bringing this camera around to the right here a little bit. Maybe like that. I think this might suit it a little bit more. And that's obviously not the best landing on that, but that's literally the only way we could have landed on that sign. So what we'll do is I'll probably have that there, let it sit there for a minute, and then might move the camera back just to around here, and then set it as look at target, and then just have the write off. I'm not sure when I had when I wrote off it though. Must have been about here. So that's too long. So the distance between landing it and writing off for me is too long. So what we're just going to do is we'll probably have that there, and then just have the write off there. But I might edit that little part out where it spends 20 seconds hanging on the screen, because no one wants to watch that for that long. So going over this clip again, just a static camera on the run in, parked on the roof, bouncing. I don't know if it might be a little high, so I'm just going to move the camera up a little bit, tilt it up a bit. Now you can add you know, the speed in here as well, so you could let it go full speed here, and then maybe chuck a little bit of 50 in there, then back to 100. Or you could delete that 50, delete the next one, and then maybe, I think I like it just how it is. So this part here I'll trim out, and then have me jump down like that. So that's the fourth clip done. Save yes. Move on to the next. I've gone into the wrong thing here. Yes, do I want to return to the timeline? Yes, back. Add clip. Oh, this is a little ledge ride that I did on stream the other night. So I want to throw this in. I did this years ago, but I wanted to add it to this video as well. So placing the clip, editing again. By now you're getting what I'm doing and you're understanding everything that I'm saying here. So how your clips fit and how you fit your cameras to the clips is very important. Don't stress too much about it, but just make sure it's nice to look at, basically. You want it so it's easy for your eye to follow. You don't want your eyes or your viewers' eyes getting confused or getting lost at what's happening, or like having the clip be confusing perspective-wise. So just keeping it nice and simple is usually the best route. This is a nice daytime clip, middle of the day. Nice, just little. I did this years ago on a street level, but it's basically just a little ride along this ledge. So what I might do with this, I might, instead of look at target, I might move with target player, just for the first part, onto there, and then turn that off. Editing second camera. Move this one along here. Might just sort of. So that's nice. You get like, this is a nice little understanding of the view. There's no confusion about what's going on here. So look at player jumping along the ledge. So he's riding along the ledge there. And then the last camera could look nice if we just put, even if we put it, oh, maybe, so we're going between these two palm trees here. Palm trees? Palm trees. So we'll maybe put it here. A little bit of tilt. Look at target player. And we're just going through the tree there. So It's actually quite cool running along that little rail there. So you could even at this point here, you could go 50. Might not suit it though. So we might delete that one and just let that play through there. But we might go 50 from here. You don't want your clips going too long, slow. Obviously it lengthens the clip right out. So 50 through that little gap there. And then back to 100. And we might move that final camera just for a little street view here. And that, moving that there, so it gives a nice perspective of the height, well above the pedestrian there. And obviously the clouds behind the trees shows that you've gone through it. And that brings a very basic street clip to life because it's very realistic. So you wouldn't have to even put any track on that. You just let me land. You could probably look at it. You might even square it up a little bit here. So we might even square it up right so it's flush through the gap. And you just play it out. See, the pedestrian actually disappears at the end of that clip there. You want to avoid that shit. You don't want people disappearing. You don't want items clipping in and out. Sometimes dumpsters are invisible, or pedestrians disappear, rubbish on the ground disappears, skid marks disappear, things like that. So you don't really want that. So to steer the view away from that, you can have the character land, place another camera on the same spot, so you're not moving it, but then set it to look at player. So, oh, that's not right. That's not very right at all, is it? We might have to set it as look at player. But it's a nice tight angle anyway. So doing that, setting it instead of static to look at player, removes the fact that the pedestrian in the background on the left disappears. And that's little things you can do to cover up things like objects clipping in and out. So, like all the other ones, we'll just bring that back a bit to there. And that's a nice, simple, cool street clip. Across the gap, riding the rail, between the trees, and then landing. I'm just wondering if... I'm just going to look at how far that is, because we might be able to get a better perspective. Maybe like that, and then... No, I think I liked it better how it was, so I'll bring the camera back to the mid. Look at target selected. And then back. Save that, and that's that one in the bag. So we've currently got 5 together. 3, 4, 5. And now we'll move on to the next. Oh, this is where we were with that little going across the sign shenanigans, which I didn't know how to use. Might just quickly look at this one. Placing it and then edit. If I was recording a video outright, which we weren't recording on a stream, I wouldn't put this sort of thing in, but for the sake of it was something that we did on the stream and it was shared together, I'll probably add this, because ideally it's not totally how I wanted to hit it, but it's still a nice little, like, different part of the city compared to the rest of the video, and it adds some variation as well. So this little gap across here to 360. So ideally I would want it the spin without touching on this ledge here, but it's not that big a deal. So we'll start the run up with the roof. You could almost, something really different, which would be something that I don't really do, would be You could probably put preset rear on this and just see how this looks. Of the climb up. Yeah, it looks like shit. So maybe we might be able to use this though, just as a free camera. Zoom in. Nice little city lights there. We might just use this right behind here. And then have me jumping up there, and then edit the camera in mid-jump. And what you can do here is, this will have me landing and turning around, and then proceeding towards, so you can put that all together in one little camera angle. Well, I didn't even turn around on that one. Okay, so maybe we could, instead of having it there, because I thought maybe he was going to land up here, go this way, and then come back. But what we'll do is, I think, put it here like this. That moon looks nice. The moon there like that. So, camera, look at player. Have the ride in. So I'm riding in, and then we'll move to downstairs and below. Now on ground level, when you're looking at these things like this, it gives you the nice perspective of, we've even got this chain fence here which you could use. It's quite interesting. Probably you could probably use this fence. I might not for this, but we've got the nice city in the background there. So drop this camera nice and low, maybe bring it out a little bit. Just see how this looks with me coming across it. And see, that there looks super dope. The trick itself is not that amazing, but it looks just nice. So what I might do is I'm just going to move this a little bit here, a little bit more zoomed out, and then look at player. And then maybe halfway through we'll put the camera back up to the roof to show the spin. We get the nice sunset in the background as well, so placing that fourth camera. Now this shit here on the screen here, this thing is a pain in the ass. So what we'll do is we'll go to the other side of it, like that, moving the camera to the other side. And sometimes I do this, you add a little bit more speed to it. So the 360 is a little bit more realistic, speed-wise. And then right as you land, knock it back to 100. So let's have a look at this. Going up the wall, the static camera, landing on the roof, pan following. I don't think that that's actually necessary with the speed, now having looked at it. We'll just see how this looks here. I don't know if it's zoomed in far enough, but I might just zoom this one in here just a little bit. You don't want it to be confusing on the eye. Yeah, so I would have liked to have hit that in a different manner without touching that bottom, but that's the way it goes. So we'll just head that back to there. Exit, save, yes. I'm not sure why the streams isn't loading. It should be. I'm still here. It'll come right. It'll come right. Don't freak out. Placing it in there, and we'll move on to the next. Now, the final clip I wanted to use is that one I spent the whole bloody night on the other night, which will be the last. So what I'll do is I'll skip to the one from yesterday. So this is the clip from yesterday. So we're going to put that in front of the final clip, which is that double grind crazy shit. So this is the clip from yesterday. We'll throw that in, and then we'll put the final one on. So if you weren't here yesterday for this, it was just a nice little gap across to grind across the street. I really like this hoodie on the dude. I think this hoodie's super nice. You don't often see these hoodies, eh? Right, so here we are again. We've scrubbed to the point where the clip starts. I might do the... See, another one is the preset... You could do preset front. Don't really get that perspective though. We could do sides, preset right, might be nice. I just don't like the way it zooms like that. So you can set your shake, preset right, you can do camera. We don't want that shake. Instead of doing these presets, you can just edit the free cam to get it to where you want it to be as well. So we'll just try throw this in. This one could be nice, just this front on here. So we're going to lock the camera in by going move with target. Now the camera will move with me like this. And then we're at the part where I'm actually going to do the clip now. Take off the movement. Editing the second camera. Might better bring that one along just a bit here. And so we've got a nice little alleyway shot here. I don't know if I didn't really like the alleyway shot for it though, so maybe we might just go here, and that gives you a better look at the rotation in the clip. But remember, if you've got the camera too close to your character, hello Shire by the way, if your camera is too close, you'll get it'll be warping like that. See how it warped over? We don't really want that. So we could cut this one off halfway here, maybe back here. I really wanted to use the alleyway though. Maybe we could. Maybe I could use the alleyway. I think just gapping across this little alleyway it's not overly cool in itself, but I think visually it's quite nice. So maybe if we put it here, camera look at player. No, it's not really showing the rotation though, is it? So if we flip it back the other way, how does this look? Maybe if we got it out of the weeds for a starter. So let's have a look. Nah, I'm not feeling that at all. And then often, if I'm not feeling it, I will literally continue until I find where I'm happy with it. And that's what you have to do sometimes with these camera angles. We might be able to get away with just one here, one whole angle. Maybe if we can set it to, you can stretch two into one if you can have the camera follow. And so this clip goes around and it goes around the bend and the clip finishes over here. So what we can do here is actually just solid mount it in one spot and then have it look the whole way around. But it doesn't look that impressive though, so I think we might have to go back to where we had it, maybe. Another interesting one would be you could pull this one all the way back, but it's not going to be back far enough, so you can stretch cameras out, obviously. So that looks quite cool actually, like that. And then maybe look at target. You want to get it to the point where it's going up. And then maybe we can throw her in over here. See how this looks. Not overly happy with that angle either. Maybe over here, behind these steps. Mind you, it doesn't really show that it's a wall there, does it? No, that's not going to work for me. We might have to bring it around. See, this sort of showcases the curve of the wall, I guess, maybe. Not sure how I feel about this one. It says sometimes it can be very difficult to get the right angles on these things. It just takes a bit of time. Maybe at the front of the step here. I mean, that's okay. That's not amazing. The issue I have with how we've done the cameras here is that it's not showing the wall at all. So we might scrap that one. Might scrap that camera. Might move this one out to here. And then see, maybe we can go... Lol, I can't see, only here. I'm not sure what's going on, bro, because it's working fine at my end. There's no interruptions or anything on my end, so... An interesting way to do it is we could have more of a vertical look, like this. Which would showcase the... around the bend a bit more, maybe. Still not happy with these angles. What's up, Cosmosis, by the way? Thanks for coming back, bro. I'm still not happy with these angles, and occasionally you'll get stuck on this, like this, you know? Where it's just... So you want to be highlighting the ledge, is what I'm saying. That's looking pretty good. Like, that's looking pretty dope there. We are editing GTA 5 BMX clips together. Actually, that looks super sick, the way that come around the bend like that. Like, you could almost throw a little 50% swag on that. Yeah, we're cooking now. We're cooking now. And then now you put your final camera for the runoff, which would be just like this, just in this corner, and that's going to look perfect. Oh, don't forget to put your speed back up. Yeah, hello, mate. I'm answering you. I'm just going to lower this down a bit here. Maybe bring it in a little bit. And the plant's in the way. Maybe we'll just go up a little, and then here. And that, to me, that's satisfying for me. So we'll bring that end in, and we'll have it to about there. And we'll just have a look how this whole thing looks now. Good run up, nice perspective of the wall, round the bend, perfectly off. So that there really highlights, you want to be highlighting, you know, like, you know what it's like when you go out and the chicks are like, you know, they're really highlighting their attributes, you know what I mean? So you want to, you know what I mean? Like, you want to work with your positives here. I'm not sure, Zainty. Try refresh or something, mate. I'm not sure, but everyone else seems to be fine. It's working fine for me, so it's really showing, not only is it showing the bend of the curve, but the nice exit as well, and then riding away around the path there. So there's a nice combo. Yes, we'll save that. We've locked that in on the next part. So now we'll add another, which will be the final clip, which would be this one that I spent 10 years on the other night. So let's have a look at editing this one. Are you sure you want to edit? Yes. I'm not sure, Zainty. It's all fine on my end, mate. Everything else is fine, so it's got to be something on your end. Let's have some more water here. Okay, so this is what we're going to close the video off with. So L1 to scrub through with the right stick, hold L1, scrubbing with the right, so we find out where we are. which straight off the gate is right here. So obviously you want to be highlighting your attributes and showing it in its best possible light. So I think we'll do free cam uphill. So we've got a nice little look at the city here. A little bit of zoom. I'm not going to add any track on this, so none of the camera looking at me. It's just riding along. Editing now into the second camera. So the real highlight for this clip is that obviously back in the day I just rode up this shit, gapped up it, and grinded this rail over here. But the real highlight for this, and so many people have done it in the past, but the highlight here is the grind on this rail. So we want to be emphasizing the grind on this rail. So a good way to do it is we could place it here, or we could place it here. So we're putting a lot of the rail in the view, which is nice. Might bring it down. About here is looking good. So look at target player. And for me, for this one, because it's the final point of the video, I want to put a bit of emphasis on it, and not just that it was an insanely difficult clip for me to do, is we want to have the approach, and then I might put 50% speed on the grind to where I launch, which was here, back to 100. So now, let's just see how this looks. Hold on. Let's just check how it looks. Yeah, so from here, it's got a nice little grind up. And now we'll be editing the flight through the air, which I think will look the best like this. Maybe, yeah, like this. I think this is how you would do it. It doesn't make much sense for the cameras to be going backwards though. But we'll see how this looks. So let's just have a look here. I think maybe we delete. Might delete this one and then just bring this one into here. So we might have this here and then look at target. Yeah, I think this could work. Let's just see how this transitions from across the street. Might just move it to here. Yeah, so this is much better. So we've eliminated that first issue, and we've got it on the rail, 50% on the rail, back to 100. So we're actually adding multiple cameras into one here. I can't believe how high that shit was. Actually, it was crazy. So we'll go to the apex of the 180, which is about here, moving to the actual where I land on the grind, which can be, I think this will look pretty good like this, actually. This shit was so crazy, it was like a backwards 180. I was doing it with a flare, but wondering, shit, it even looks better like that. Really, that there really, it really emphasizes the distance by leaving it with one camera. You don't have to be actually adding cameras all the time. You can sometimes get better results like this by leaving it on one for longer. So that to the point of landing on the grind, and then we can move the camera. You always want to be highlighting your background, so like see here, or if it was say here, my character could get visually lost in the background. You don't want to be doing that. You want it always to be a clear, precise picture, a concise picture of what's actually happening. So right here we've got the nice cloudy background. I might just bring it down a little bit, and then that's really showcasing the height. You'd almost don't have to edit the camera to track on this one. You could just have it here. Adding a little bit here, so you can put a little bit more speed on it. Yep. And then back to 100 here. So on the whole, it was a little bit difficult to do this one, but I think leaving that big long camera angle in, showing the big 180, the grind, and then down really simplifies it, but it really shows how big it was too, height-wise. So I think that's actually quite a nice way to have done that, and then I ended up standing behind the bike because I was so exhausted. So that is also another good way to like finish the video, is me climbing off the bike and then standing there like that. So maybe here we might just add another one here, and then that way we could get like a nice little follow off, like for the close of the video. So that might track around there. Kind of want that nice hazy background. It's actually pretty nice. So these are all factors that you got to think about when you're editing too. So what we'll do from here is the same as I showed earlier on, is editing the camera to look up and away, maybe, and we'll put some slow blend on here, blend mode smooth, and that should just slowly pan the camera away from me when the video ends. Now I'm going to edit that a bit further because I want it to zoom in a bit more. We'll put it to about there. So now we should get a nice linear way to finish the video. Climb off the bike. The camera zooms in. We might even just put... You could even put a little bit more on this and like move it to here, and so it takes a bit longer, and then you could actually zoom it right out to like a nice finish basically. So let's see how this looks here. Panning it around. A little fast, so let's bring it back to here, and I think that's a perfect way to end it. Yes, Aiden, I will probably be on tomorrow. It's a little bit more, it's going a little fast, so these are the things I think about when I edit my videos. Like, I know it probably seems silly, but see that there, when I edit this shit later tonight, that's just going to be a perfect way for it to finish, and then we'll stretch it out so it takes longer. It's not going too fast, but it's just nice and slow. Fading away. Cash money. So that's perfect for me. So we'll save that. It's now added to the project. We have the entire edit now here. Now the next process of this would be you go through, you watch it, and you record it, or you save it by either saving it to your PlayStation file share or your Xbox share. Or you record it externally with your recording device. For me, it'll be an Elgato. So what we'll do is we'll play through the whole thing. So I'm not sure, it should be able to... I don't know if it will play through, will it? Full screen preview. Okay, I've never actually done this, so here we go. Full screen preview. It's now loading, and we get an entire vibe of how it feels. I haven't chosen any music for the video yet. But this is basically all the stream clips that we've done, stitched together, and then I will now take and chop up in Premiere Pro or whatever your editing software is. So the first clip with the actually, I want to just return here. I don't. I'm not sure how to get into that, so we'll just delete that one. I'm going to remove those effects off that first clip. I don't like the effects that I had on it with the was simply for an example, so I'm going to chop all those effects off. No filter, back to 0, back to 0, back to 0, and then that sets my baseline in my external editing. So just resetting all these. And if I wanted to use my own blurs maybe for the end, I can use my own blurs and edit their strengths in my own program. So we'll go back to no filter, resetting all of this. And now we'll go back. You want to save? Yes. And now we'll go back. Full screen preview. Oi, oi, DD, how you going, mate? And now we can preview the whole project really quickly from start to finish. And that's that panning of that camera there, which I did at the start of the video and at the end, which I think is nice. It's taking a little bit of time. Remember, all this will be trimmed once it's in the final product. Good. I'm good, thanks. Good. Been doing a lot of talking for the last 80 minutes, so I'm a little bit dry. I thought that it was going to play all these together, but I guess not. But so it's just showing each clip that we've done, the editing on them, and then the run out into the next. Takes its sweet time between loadings, eh? What time is it for me? It's 2 AM in the morning right now. Business time, so when we get the shit done. Getting shit done time of night. This section will be cut out, and then me writing off it. Also, the order of these clips will change once I am chopping them up singularly in my own editing. It's got a good vibe. The whole thing's got a good vibe at the moment. Excuse me. Good vibes. It's a good little video, and it's at a standard that I would put out myself. You know what I mean? Like it's exactly what I'd be doing if I wasn't streaming anyway. I'd be landing and doing these clips like this. So it's cool that it's been able to share that with everyone. And this is the final clip. It's not right, that end bit though, is it? That end bit is not right. How do I edit? I've just noticed that at the end. And this is where like your pedantic ADD, you know, attention to detail shit really like comes into play. So the way that this does that, the way that that camera does that is not ideal. So what we want is to, fuck, how are we going to move this one? Maybe like this. This just got a nice little bit of, that's still not right though, is it? I've really messed this up here, haven't I? It's gonna actually take me a second to figure this out. Nah, it's not right. I'm not happy with it, so I might just chop this. Chop. Chop that out, and then we'll right to there, and then we'll combine two cameras into one, basically. Much better, much more smoother. See that whole thing just cut all of that dicking around out, and it's made it into one smooth motion now. So now we'll have that into here, and then we can add our last camera up to there. Make sure we've got the linear on it. Smooth. Yeah, looking good. Looking good. So you're slowly panning the camera around. Yeah. Alright, so that was fixing it and making the whole process much more... Ah, shit. I've just realised what I've done here. So this almost needs to be deleted, this actual... That one needs to be deleted, so we need to stretch that to there. So now it should transition perfectly. We've cut out the middleman. Perfect. Absolutely nailed it. We've got a little bit of nice movement in the blend on the end there. Yeah, so that's absolutely fixed that right up. So I'm wondering if we just, instead of chucking 50 on that, I'm probably going to put it to 35 to like emphasize it a bit more. So maybe yeah, 35. To there, maybe. It's actually, that's taken that out of there, hasn't it? That one can actually go, yeah. So now it just needs to be 35 and then back to 100, and that's simplified it and streamlined the whole thing even further. So now, nice, and that really accentuates it on that rail. Perfect to there, back down. The nice way to finish it, sweeping around. Alright, sick. So that's saved. Now that basically wraps up the whole portion of what I was trying to put together for the tutorial. And there's a lot of stuff that I would have missed. There's lots of things that I need to have covered, but I've tried to cover basically all of the basics in regards to using simple editing in the Rockstar Editor to get the camera angles that you want, and to really emphasize and make your own clips look better. Well, not look better, but really bringing out the best of your clips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be ending the stream here now, and then this will last as a standalone video in regards to editing, which I will keep up on the channel permanently. So I'm hoping that all of this has helped. Obviously there'll be heaps that I've missed, but just fire away in the questions. And if you are new or you are visiting this channel for the first time, be sure to subscribe. And if the video did help you out, leave a like, and I'll answer any questions that need be in the comments. So just fire away. I hope this video was help to a lot of you guys. And what I'll do now is I will go and edit the stream video, and then I will put the edit up hopefully in a few hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours before I go to bed, and then we'll have a finished product that we did together on the stream, and hopefully I find some cool music and it comes out nice. So that's the long and short of Rockstar editing. I hope it's been a help, and yeah, I'll see you when the stream edit is done. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I appreciate you checking it out. Oh man, 25 bucks? Dude, I turned on that stuff. I turned it on. I didn't think anyone was actually going to, man. Hey, look, I really appreciate that, Cosmos. So, thank you very much, dude. It's amazing. Thank you. You're the first guy that's ever donated to me on the stream. So, you've got that title as well. So, I really appreciate that. Anyway, I'll be back in a few hours. I could keep streaming tonight, but we're not going to. I'm just going to edit it up, and then we've got a nice finished product video. So, hey, thank you so much for that, Cosmosis, sorry, man. Really appreciate that, eh? And I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying it. So, we'll end this now, and I'll be back shortly. You guys have a good night, day, morning, afternoon, and hopefully enjoy the video when it's out. See you guys.